Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking a little bit about one of my favorite ways of making money in Tarkov. But let's be honest, I've never really been known in the Tarkov community for having large piles of money stocked up because I really don't spend that much time actually focusing on it. These days, I'm really working towards completing as many daily missions as possible, any means necessary. So that means sometimes I'm just doing 2 or 3 minute factory raids or just focusing on one small aspect of the game while neglecting pretty much everything else, and that includes loot. But recently, I started noticing that my cash stack was getting dangerously low, around 4 million rubles, and I started taking some cheeky shots from the chat about that. So I did the logical thing most players would do. I just started looting the items around me, and I know it seems really stupid and completely obvious, but I was able to triple my cash stack in a few days to 15 million rubles by just subtly trying to hit more duffel bags, loot spawns, check more sugars and moonshines, being conscious about what value certain objects are, dropping things that aren't going to sell for very much, and choosing objects like squash or nails, things that I know are going to sell pretty fast and efficient on the flea market. So for this particular loot run, we are going to be visiting my favorite map in the game, Woods, and specifically targeting the northern section of the map. Some of the village with the SUV extraction, but honestly not that much. The fishing village that has plenty of really good stashes and gold chain spawns, around the scav bunker that has great food boxes, the bunker itself, and then also the USEC camps, and finishing up with the scope shack. But before we continue today's video, I actually just want to take a moment to talk about my channel here on YouTube. As some of you guys probably already noticed, Matt and I are working and committed on uploading daily videos now here on YouTube. There's going to be more Tarkov videos, variety content, and opinions on different games. On top of that, some of the best moments from the stream. But in order for us to sustain a daily video schedule here on YouTube, we're going to be taking on some sponsors from time to time to help keep this new schedule going for now and into the future. And for today, that sponsor happens to be a company called Factor, which delivers ready-made meals directly to your doorstep. Let's be honest, guys, not all of us gamers have the time, lifestyle, or schedules to constantly be worrying about what's on the menu for the day. I'm sure some of you guys take in way more fast food than what you're comfortable with, and you might be looking for some other options. Factor's chef-created meals are fresh, they're never frozen, and designed by dietitians to ensure every meal is packed with premium, science-backed nutritional quality. On super busy days, or raiding with your guild, or putting in a marathon Tarkov session, you don't have to worry about that meal prep, the dishes, or ordering unhealthy fast food. It's also perfect if you're living that super busy lifestyle, trying to grow a live stream on Twitch or YouTube, or creating video content. You don't really have that extra time to focus on what's going to be on the dinner menu for that evening, or what you're going to eat for lunch. So if you're interested in checking out Factor for yourself, you can visit the link in the description box below, or go to the website go.factor75.com and use code POGSLOB120 for $120 off. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at what this loot farm looks like and the type of loot you can expect. Okay, so this is a pretty decent spawn point. Now, if I was to spawn near the village, I usually neglect it because remember, the most important thing that you need to do in order to make money in Tarkov is actually surviving your raids. And frequently, this location alone is actually a loot farm where people will loot the village and hit the SUV and extract. And because of that reason, it's usually highly contested. If I spawn on the opposite side of this village, I will sometimes quickly hit a building or two for some sugar, but then completely move to this northern line. There's also a secret stash that's off to my right here, but I don't hit every stash that I go to, mainly because I have a hard time finding that one consistently for whatever reason. So I usually just try to push on position. So this is a really good starting position. So you have to be mindful though of one spawn in particular, which is going to be up amongst this rock to my right. So I'm going to always be moving up this hill. You'll see me do this on my stream quite often. I'll usually push this to the left because if somebody spawns to my right, I find they like to hit the stash. So this is kind of the beginning of my farm. So we'll kind of open up. We'll hit the stash. Now my next move is to move to the next stash, which is on the complete opposite hill. Now there's also stashes to my left, but again, this is specifically a northern line farm. So I wanna hit as many of the spawns that are kind of in a straight line as possible, because I also want to be pretty quick and speedy and efficient. I don't want to be turning over every single stone and hitting every nook and cranny. And again, you're not really looking at the most efficient loot farmer here. This is just my favorite run, I guess, by default. There's really no real reason on why I decided to start doing this one, other than I had a high probability of surviving it. And I feel like that's, again, the most important aspect of any loot farm, is whatever one that you can consistently survive is probably the best way for you to make money. No matter what videos you watch or guides that are out there. So this is one of the reasons why I love this gold chains. It's got gold chains, and it's got really good items that you can sell even whenever you die, actually. So, which I'm a big fan of, especially when it comes to teaching players how to play, because let's be honest, new players, they're going to die a lot. So being able to hit objects that sell for a lot of money, regardless on whether or not you live or die, is kind of nice. There's going to be frequently ammunitions. Now, sometimes I don't hit this shack, but I'm just kind of rolling through here regardless for the sake of the video. But there's going to be ammunition boxes. Now, some of these ammunitions you won't be able to sell on the flea market. You can use yourself, but some of them you can. You're looking for BT. There you go. It's a good example. So BT you can sell for a reasonable amount of money on the flea market. So obviously that's a great choice. And then, oh yeah, there it is. Hey, moonshine. So moonshine is one of the luxury items that we're looking for on this farm, because moonshines sell for minimum 200,000 rubles on the flea market. It's always a great time to see some moonshines. Vodka's not super hot with the sale value. I think they are usually around like 19,000 rubles. So it's not terrible, but there's actually some pretty decent barters for vodkas. So I usually take them either for the barters. There's a really good barter where you can trade in vodkas for an Ash 12 and actually make a profit, but that requires you to complete a mission called regulated materials in order to benefit from that. So I'm actually going to hit the house in the very back here with the stash, and then I'll move into the chapel. Sometimes I hit this building first and then work my way back. Sometimes I even just neglect this building depending on the gunshots. I will always adjust automatically how I maneuver through any match that I play, depending on what my objective is, and that includes what other players on the map are doing. So listening to gunshots while you're doing pretty much anything in Tarkov is kind of essential, in my opinion. All right, so we're going to wrap over. So again, I'm kind of doing this in a weird way. How you choose to hit these buildings is completely up to you. To be completely honest with you, I would usually hit that building to my left first. Now the chapel, I will choose to hit the chapel or not, depending on how I feel this area is. If I think it's really contested or super early in a match, I will sometimes neglect it, because it's one of those locations that has a one-way in, one-way out. But this is a really good gold spawn, and you'll frequently find lions and some pretty high quality treasure loot, but sometimes it's not so great. So if you're not interested in getting into the one way in, one way out, I will frequently neglect that location. Now, when you're running through this area, be mindful, scavengers do spawn here, and they can be quite cheeky with the long grass. They will frequently shoot you in the legs. Now, this is the marked circle in the village. Now, we're unfortunately not lucky today, but there are lots of gold chain spawns that are frequently in this position, so you're definitely going to want to check it. Coming into these buildings, you want to check the corners. So that's a treasure spawn right there. There's a treasure spawn right here as well. Unfortunately, not getting lucky on this one. Now we're going to be coming into this building. Same sort of idea. You want to check this first room. And then in this building, again, check your corners, because there's gold chains that like to be scattered around here. Now we got herring and we got condensed milk. This is also a really good example. Herring sells really well. It's one of your best selling food items on the flea market. This is one of the items that you're after on this run, so you definitely want to pick it up. And then condensed milk. This is a great item to put into your secured container if you have the space, because it sells for 15,000 rubles directly to therapist. So you don't have to list this. It sells for the same on the flea market as it does the therapist. So definitely an item that you want to put in your secured container if you don't have anything else in there. So for example, in this case, I would say nothing because I got lucky, but yeah, you never know. So pretty mediocre spawns for us during this example raid, if I'm going to be completely real for you, other than the moonshine. You will get more stuff in an online raid than you will in an offline raid. So there was one raid I did last week where I was able to get 5 gold chains on this run, and that's pretty nice. Again, secured container. If you die, that's still decent money to the dealers. You can sell those gold chains for, I think, roughly 24,000 rubles a piece, give or take, roughly. If you're looking for that experience, you definitely want to be at least trying to headshot the scavs and at least grabbing the gun. Might take the sprut, and in this case, I might take the MP5. ET stock, STM9 9-inch barrel. I might grab the barrel. And I guess if you really want to min-max it, you can take the duffel bags and the scav vests, because they do sell, and it's just kind of extra weight. But if you're a new account or your strength and endurance isn't too high, I wouldn't worry too much about that personally. I usually don't, but a scav vest typically goes for 15 to 20,000 rubles on the flea market. A lot of people don't know they can just barter for it with a Slickers bar, but you know, it is what it is. So if you see a scav vest, it's basically just free space and free money for you. So you can grab it and fill it up with objects. Same way that we just did with that duffel bag. So we scored another gold chain, which is kind of nice. Nothing on the mill box. We want to be keeping our eyes open for food spawns, because sugar is really one of the objects that we're looking for here. And it's kind of odd that we haven't actually found any sugar. This van, fuel spawns in this location on this van. It's not common, but it is there, so you definitely want to be taking a look for it. Tashanka, not a big item. Lupo's beans is a big item. Same thing with those cigarettes, because that's a nice barter item for ammunitions. BP as well, not too bad. Okay, so Lupo's beans is one of those objects that you're going to want to put in your secured container. So I'm just doing it for example. It sells for 33,000 rubles roughly to the dealers direct. So definitely one of those items that you want to secure. Pretty sure the ammunition is going to sell for more. But in this case, right, ammunition, it's only going to be super valuable to me because I don't use 5.45 if I survive. So it's not one of those items that really needs to be in your secure container unless you want that armor-piercing round for 5.45 AK, which I sometimes do. If I'm going to be real, like, wasn't just an example, I'd probably toss it in there. Swordins, not super hot on the sale value. Mayo is just okay. These grenade crates are great. Grenade crates got a buff, so you're going to want to hit them. I don't know if that buff is in offline raids, but grenade crates are amazing in online raids because they have the ability to give you impact grenades. Now we're entering the scav bunker, and we just heard a scav to our right. There will be a hefty amount of scavengers here usually, so you want to be mindful of that. Sometimes they'll even spawn behind you and push your way into the camp. So one just pushed us, so want to make sure we're going to take him out here. Sometimes these mags will have armor-piercing rounds. You want to check ADARs for... Ooh, that's nice. Pharmacy keys. That's a 50,000 ruble key. Check 209s, ADARs, things like that. Sometimes they'll have armor-piercing rounds. You can always just double-tap the magazine if you don't want to unload it. Oop, missed a milk crate. That's what you do if you see streamers do that. We're just going to double tap the magazine and take a peek at the top, and you'll be able to see what kind of ammunitions are going to be in there. I'm also just kind of grabbing a bunch of random junk just to fill up my backpacks. All right. Condensed milk, another solid object. Okay. Duffel bag. Don't forget to hit these. Duffel bags are actually pretty amazing sometimes. You can get GPUs in there as well, and those red pliers, maybe I think you'd take sometimes, but hand drill, not worth the wait. Okay. We're gonna move. So at this position on the loot farm, I will usually make a decision on how hot the area is. So if I hear a lot of gunshot activity in the area and I got a lot of loot and I might not necessarily want to participate in PvP, I'm going to run on the far right side and not get on top of this hill here. So I'll show you what I mean. This hill can sometimes be fairly camped during primetime hours or if there's PvP in the area, because it gives you an overlook on the USEC camps. If you are coming up here though, take a quick peek at this secret stash right here. It's super nice. That nice little secret stash with the bolts. Oh, nice thermometer. Thermometer is another one of those objects. It sells for roughly 33,000 rubles to the dealers directly. So not the greatest, because you always want to take an object that's 2 slots and divide it by 2. So it's probably similar value to a vodka, but it's still nice to put in the secure container if you got nothing else. So if this is a super hot raid or I'm completely full of loot, like in this case, I got that moonshine, you know? I got that moonshine. We got some really good objects. We're pretty full on some random loot. Some of the shit that we can definitely toss, like that, and the toothpaste. The Atlas comp, I'm not super hot about. The Sori, not really into it. M parts, just fair. Tashanka, sometimes I'll reassess if I feel like I'm going to be doing some more looting. The filter is not super great either. The broken LCD, not super great. Sometimes I'll drop it. In this case, I will, because I feel like we're going to be going back in. Wilston's, I'm not the biggest fan of. Strikes are not really that good sale value. I feel like the STM 914-inch barrel does sell for a reasonable amount, but I actually don't remember, so I'm just going to hold on to it. So anyway, if this is a very hot raid, I'm going to keep moving down this line and move towards ZB14, maybe hit a stash or two, and head to the extraction, because that's where my exfil is. But in this case, it's a super light raid. So I'm just going to go up. I'm going to go up to USEC camps. USEC camps is one of my favorite places in the game, especially for hardcore accounts. You get lots of good weapons. You get a potential M4 spawn on that mattress. What else do we got here? Got some milk crates. Now, I will admit, I don't spend that much time hitting the crates. Okay. STM right here. RK3, great selling attachment. You should grab it whenever you can. It's used for gunsmithing. The reason why, this hill right here. Okay. People like to sit up there, especially if you get a spawn on this side early game. You want to be mindful of that. So I will always make a decision to pass up loot locations depending on what I feel deep down. It's just a gut feeling. Sometimes I'll hit it, sometimes I won't, but this is the most important spot. And we have another good example of it. So down here, you have an ALU splint. Sometimes I might take that, but in this case I won't. But this is where an ophthalmoscope will spawn. But we got lucky because we got an ophthalmoscope right here. Ophthalmoscope is another one of those objects, a bit more on the rare side, but it frequently spawns at this location on USEC camps. It is awesome. Great sale value, sells on the flea market really well, sells the therapist as well. This is definitely going to be one of those objects that we're going to want to slot right into our secured container. Beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. 42nd is also a really good value add object. I hate this crate. I don't like looting it. I will frequently pass on it. It is a technical supply, so you can get some good things. Like wires will always sell. Nails have been really good. Elite pliers and bolts. So yeah, nails have been crazy. I've seen nails go as high as 40,000 rubles sometimes, which is nuts. MP5 and weapons. We got a weapon crate back here. Our nice little RPK. All right. I could have taken the flashlight off that gun that I dropped, but I'm lazy. That is the reason why I don't have a huge cash stack in comparison to other players. It's just you know, I'm not as efficient, but you know, I still care about making some money from time to time. Okay, another thing you want to be aware of. I will frequently try to position myself as far left here and turn my head towards the mountain whenever I'm looting this crate. The reason is there's a shooter born in heaven spot that is up on this mountain's edge. And I know this because I use this spot, and I have also been sniped from this location. So although it looks crazy, like nobody could spot you from through here, it is far easier when you're on that hill to spot somebody inside this tent than you might realize. So something that you're going to want to be mindful of. So just be aware of that. If you think it's really hot, a lot of player activity, you might want to neglect it. If you're feeling like it's quiet, then you're certainly going to want to hit it, but you're going to have to make that judgment call during the raids that you play out. LS321. Another thing that you can do is put an AKS-74 gas tube with a handguard in your secured container. If you're running an alpha container, it's actually not a bad idea. The reason why is you can put modifications on it. You can put lots of modifications on it. So something that you could consider doing. I don't really do it, but you know, I got the luxury of having that gamma, so a soon to be Kappa container, I hope. Precision stock. And I don't take that. Okay, a couple notes here. Trooper body armors frequently spawn here. Moonshine spawns here often on this table. And of course, on the seats of these black SUVs and the truck, you will, especially this truck, there's a modified M4 that likes to spawn there. So make sure you check that blue truck. And another thing, now, full disclosure, I don't usually hit this. Okay? I don't usually hit it, but sometimes I do if I'm feeling lucky. Depends on the time of raid, depends on the gunshots. But up here, there's some really good attachment spawns. In this case, we're getting a Schmidt and Bender optic, some ammunition, which in this case is SP7. But there's also a modified weapon spawn up here, and that's an MPX 40 round magazine, which I don't know if you can sell this on the flea market or not. I kind of forget. So at this point, we are certainly on this run not moving into the map. Okay, so this is a loot run. We want to play that northern outside. So at this point, we're going to be linking up with the same sort of route that I would be taking if we skipped USEC camps. There are some times that I do, especially I will skip USEC camps if I know that players are there. You see containers that are already open. It's usually been hit. You can sometimes get lucky and find objects that people neglect. But again, speed is a factor here. I want to be as quick as possible. If I see those open containers, I'm usually bailing. Secure it. There's a secret stash back to my right. I don't usually hit that one, but I sometimes hit this one. Down here. It's kind of sus. Kind of sketch. Again, that stash is kind of a play it by ear situation. If I got a full inventory of stuff, I'm not going to hit it. Secret stash is up on that hill as well. Depends on my loot factor. If I'm not full on loot, I'll go hit it. If not, I won't. If it's the beginning of a raid and I spawned on this side instead of at the village, I might hit it. I don't know. But more often than not, I roll up on this hill. And the reason why, I like to see what's going on. There's times where I do start risking it. Get a nice little glass at checkpoint. You might see some scavs rolling around. You might hear some gunshots. In this position, you can actually kill a surprising amount of players. I frequently spot players running down this path line, which is the old woods path line. Again, really just depends on the risk factor and what you're feeling. There's some military crates that are right into those rocks there. In this case, I'm not feeling it. I'm like full on loot. We got some goodies. We didn't spawn on this side, so if it was a packed in woods raid, those crates would commonly be hit already. Okay, so now we're rolling. This location early in a wipe, very good for hoses, which is nice that there's one there. Corrugated hoses, solid for it. Now, I'm going to roll down this fence line towards ZB14. Much safer than rolling on the left. To the left of me, it's camped very heavily during populated hours. So, especially early in a wipe. So you got to be mindful of that. So I frequently just go over here, take a look. ZB bunker is open in this case. So I will usually hit it. Motors. This is what we're after though. These bunkers on this side and the opposite side of the map, super good for water filters. Okay, water filters sell really well. You want to hit the duffel bag. Again, oh, squashes. Squashes, very solid. Sprats, 6K, not super great value. Good if you're needing metabolism levels. Oh, 7 and 40. 7 and 40 doesn't sell in the flea market, but one of the rarest rounds in the game and the best 5.45 round. You definitely want to grab that. Little augmentin, not too bad. I'll take it over the parts. Hit these green crates. These green crates can spawn red rebels, taigas, and all sorts of other fun stuff. Body armors. In this case, this flashlight, I know it's needed for a gunsmithing mission, so sometimes people might use it. And you want to keep your eyes down because there are 60 round AK-74 mags that are used for the mission called ice cream cones. So you definitely want to look for those. Okay, but before we leave, let's say ZB14, just an alternate path here. ZB14 is closed, or you don't have that much loot, or you spawn on this side, okay? Now, this is a risky move, but I sometimes do it because I can't help myself. We're going to cross the scope shack. So, assuming that you spawn on this side, let's kind of flip the script. I will usually hit scope shack first. So, just for the sake of this video. Okay, I want to take them out. And you know what? You're probably wondering, would you ever do a crazy cross like that? Sometimes I do. In a raid, time matters. Okay, so the timing of the raid is super key on my risk factor. So hold on. Okay, so a little sketchy, kind of getting a little offline leg here too. You might be seeing the chunk up. So Scope Shack is freaking sweet for attachments. That's why it's called Scope Shack. And in this case, we picked up a really nice, I think I dropped a magazine. Hey, you want to be mindful of the magazine drops. I did drop the magazine. It's not that big of a deal. It's an offline raid, but you definitely don't want to be doing that. Kind of a noob mistake. I'm being real, right? Remember where I dropped that bad boy? I think I dropped it, unfortunately, on the guy, which is not ideal. Oh, whiskey. Whiskey's pretty good. Whiskey is a 37,000 ruble slot value item, and it is, or not slot, sorry, total item, but then it sells, or it's got a really good barter. So whiskey, I usually like to take it. Now we got some wallets and some grenades and things like that. So also guns in the weapon rack. You got a milk crate here, which not bad, but you also want to check back here. So in this location, there is usually good ammunition boxes, armor piercing rounds. Okay. And if you're feeling lucky, there's a variety of stashes. This is not a stash farming video for woods. There are those out there if you're looking for them. So at this point, I've either already extracted by ZB14 or I'm on my way out. But there's a couple of honorable mentions here. I would usually not do this if I didn't spawn on this side, but if I did spawn on this side, or if I was extracting, let's say ZP wasn't open, and I was extracting through outskirts, I would come down here and check on the dead scav, see what he's got going on. And then also taking a peek at that duffel bag and some loose loot. Rolling up through here. Secret stash right there. Whiskey. Got some more of that sweet whiskey. In this case, I'm going to drop it. I don't really know how much that barrel is. Some of you guys in the comment section are probably going to want to kill me. They're like, that's really expensive, but I forget. And that's it. So that's, I would be out or starting from this location. So obviously, we were in this raid for a very long time, but I, was very thorough with a lot of different options, and showing you guys everything and just talking about different stuff. But I would usually do this much faster than what you guys are watching right now, of course. And again, there's no shame in neglecting certain spawn locations if you think it's dangerous. Because again, the risk of dying is going to be bad for your profits. So this is what we were able to pull out of the raid. So we got that moonshine, we got that ophthalmoscope, we got the Lupo's beans, all these objects. This is very likely to be 1,000,000 rubles, nearly 1,000,000 ruble raid right here, I would say. Very close to it. Actually, I'm going to dial back that rhetoric. I'm going to say that this is probably going to be roughly 800,000, 900,000. It could be 1,000,000 rubles depending on the price of certain things. But yeah, we'll say roughly 800,000 to 1,000,000 rubles. But we also got pretty lucky with the moonshines, but we got really unlucky because we didn't get a single item. And it was probably because this is an offline raid, which is sugar. You will get lots of sugar on this run, and the fact that we didn't get a single one is extremely unlucky, and probably because we didn't loot the village. Sugar sells for 80,000 rubles, slot value. Not really something that you want to put in your gamma container because it doesn't sell for very much whenever you die, but it is a pinnacle and a staple of this loot farm. And again, it's kind of weird that that we didn't get one. So if you're looking for money raids and you haven't done one of these before, I highly recommend it. And I hope this helps you guys out, make some money, and it's definitely a more chill and relaxed way to farm a really serious amount of cash in a relatively short period of time without feeling the hustle and the bustle of rushing Bitcoin spawns. You really gonna do this to me, Scap? Huh? Right in the stomach. Right in the belly. Mid-commentary. The disrespect. Outrageous.